The dark side of gambling in ancient civilizations. Gambling isn't modern. Long before Las Vegas, lotteries, casinos, and online betting, ancient civilizations were already rolling dice, betting their homes, selling their children for debts, and even trading human lives on wagers. Gambling was never just a game. It was tied to religion, fate, power, crime, and even war. Today, we're traveling thousands of years back to uncover the deep, dangerous, and fascinating dark side of ancient gambling. Origins of gambling, the bones of fate. The earliest evidence of gambling is over 5,000 years old. Archaeologists found dice made from animal knuckle bones, called astragali, in ancient Mesopotamia, China, India, and Egypt. But why did humans start gambling? It wasn't originally for money. It began as divination, a way to communicate with gods. Ancient people believed the outcome of the dice was the will of the divine. Losing wasn't just bad luck, it was divine punishment. Winning wasn't fortune, it was divine favor. And so betting became more than entertainment. It became spiritual and dangerously addictive. Mesopotamia, when gambling became slavery. Mesopotamia, the cradle of civilization, was also the cradle of gambling problems. People gambled in taverns, often run by women, and played dice, tiles, and animal bones. But the stakes? Not just coins. Babylonian records show people gambled away land, livestock, even family members. One chilling tablet from around 1800 BCE tells the story of a man who lost his wife and 2 children in a gambling debt. They became bonded servants, nearly indistinguishable from slaves. Hammurabi's Code, one of the first law systems, mentions gambling debts. It describes the consequences of defaulting. If you lose and cannot pay, you become property of your creditor. The ancient equivalent of gambling yourself into slavery. Gambling wasn't just risky, it was life-changing, and often life-destroying. Ancient China, gambling, crime, and secrets. China didn't just invent paper money, fireworks, silk, and printing. They also invented some of the earliest gambling games. Games included Keno-like lottery used to raise money, possibly for the Great Wall. Tile games like early mahjong playing cards, invented in China during the Tang Dynasty. But with gambling, always came crime. Gambling houses were often run by secret societies and underground gangs. These groups laundered money, bribed officials, trained criminals, owned prostitution, drug trade, and gambling rings. Gambling wasn't just a game. It was an organized criminal empire, even 2,000 years ago. Chinese laws tried to ban gambling, but historian David Nivison wrote, "Whenever gambling was outlawed, it simply moved underground and became even more dangerous. And gambling addiction tore families apart." A Chinese proverb from that era warned, "If a man gambles, land will vanish. If a woman gambles, the family will vanish." Ancient India, the game that started a war. Ancient India's relationship with gambling is both spiritual and destructive. The most famous story? The dice game in the Mahabharata. Prince Yudhishthira, wise and noble, sat down for a friendly game of dice. But the dice were loaded. The opponent was cunning. He began betting. Gold, lost. Elephants, lost. His kingdom gone. His brothers, lost. Finally, he gambled his wife, Draupadi, and lost her too. That gambling loss triggered the Kurukshetra War, one of the greatest wars in ancient mythology. The Mahabharata clearly portrays gambling addiction as dangerous, manipulative, and morally destructive. Ancient Indian law tried to control gambling. The Manusmriti condemned gambling houses as homes of thieves, adulterers, and dishonest men. But despite religious advice, gambling was everywhere, especially among kings. Even Buddha warned, "A gambler lives in sorrow, debt, and poverty." Ancient Greece, where gods threw dice. Ancient Greeks didn't just gamble, they philosophized about it. Legend says the gods Zeus, Hades, and Poseidon divided the universe by rolling dice. From that myth came the idea. Fate is a gamble. Greeks gambled on. These games, animal fights, Olympic bets, and even elections, but gambling had consequences. Philosopher Theophrastus wrote, "A gambler is an antisocial creature, lying at home in bed, scheming all day, losing all night." Athens had laws banning gambling, punishable by fines or exile. But did that stop them? Not at all. In fact, some Greek politicians used gambling to bribe citizens for votes. Gambling wasn't just entertainment, it was political corruption. Ancient Rome, betting on blood. Rome makes Las Vegas look tame. Romans gambled on everything: dice, horse races, chariot races, gladiator fights. Though gambling, except during Saturnalia festival, was illegal, it was everywhere, in taverns, bathhouses, private villas, and military camps. The rich didn't gamble coins. They gambled estates, slaves, jewels, ships, even political offices. Famous gambling addicts, Emperor Claudius, wrote a book on gambling strategy. Emperor Nero gambled public treasury money. Soldiers bet their armor, weapons, sometimes even their freedom. Gambling debts bought political influence. Senators lost taxpayer money on bets. Corrupt officials rigged chariot races. One Roman general lost so much money gambling that he sold his soldiers' armor to repay debts before going into battle. Why people couldn't stop gambling? Even 4,000 years ago, gambling created the same addiction patterns it does today. Ancient people believed fortune favors the bold, but modern psychology explains it differently. Gambling triggers dopamine surges, hope of instant life change, the illusion of control. A cycle of near wins, reinforcing addiction. Ancient language even reflected gambling thinking. Ancient saying, "Fortune is blind," Rome, "Luck favors no one." He gambled his beard, Greek. Risked his honor, borrow money, risk your life, China. Gambling destroys families. Gambling was never just a game. It was hope, desperation, and illusion. Governments tried to control gambling, but failed. Rome outlawed gambling except holidays. Ignored. Greece fines and exile for gamblers. Ignored. India religious condemnation, legal regulation. Ignored. China banned gambling, but rulers secretly taxed. Mesopotamia let gambling exist, used it for debt slavery. Even when illegal, gambling thrived. From Babylonian taverns to Roman gambling halls, from ancient Chinese brothels to Indian royal courts, gambling has always walked a thin line between hope and ruin. It connected people, entertained kings, and built empires. But it also destroyed families, corrupted governments, fueled crime, and even started wars. The dice didn't change over time. Human nature did not either. If you enjoyed this deep dive into ancient gambling, like, subscribe, and comment.